Welcome everyone to today's Wednesday, August 11th special meeting of the Missoula Board of County Commissioners. Our one and only item on the agenda today is taking public comment on the fiscal year 2022 preliminary budget. But to begin with, we, as in all of these meetings, begin with a land acknowledgement recognizing that Missoula County and this event takes place in the Aboriginal territories of the Salish and Kalispel people. Will you please rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Hey, Dave, I'm going to grab a pen from the table.
Are there any public announcements that we need to make today before we roll into the main agenda? Well, I will just make an announcement. If folks either online or here in this Sophie Moise room in the Missoula County Courthouse have not yet done so, get yourself out to the Western Montana Fair. We were out there this morning for a dedication ceremony of tribal nation flags, and the restored and rejuvenated fairgrounds looks fabulous. So please take advantage of it. It is your facility and it is free. You do not have to pay a dime to get in, which means you will have more dimes in your pocket to purchase some of the delicious food out there.
Wonderful lunch out there today.
Vote All Nations Indian tacos.
It will stick to your ribs. Yes.
Well, Commissioner Slotnick opted for
The Greek hero.
okay.
Those are good too. Okay. Any other public announcements? All right. Very good. Is there any public comment on items not on today's agenda? All right. So as I mentioned, we have one public hearing today. This is the public hearing which I will open on the preliminary FY22 budget for Missoula County. Just a reminder to folks, if after the staff presentation and after commissioner questions and comments, when we have time for public comment, either in person here in the Sophie Moise room or online, please be succinct. Tell us who you are, your name for the record, and make your statements in 3 minutes or less, optimally. If you're online, I will indicate when it is your time to comment. Please raise your hand if you're joining us via Microsoft Teams. Raise your hand electronically, and we will call you in the order in which you raise your hand. If you're on the phone, please unmute yourself, *6, and jump in at the appropriate time, and we'll recognize you. So with that, we'll begin with a staff report from Missoula County CFO, Andrew Charney.
Thank you, Commissioner. Talking about the hearing agenda today, we're going to start with a budget presentation. We'll talk about the overall budget, the budget requests, the tax impacts. We'll go to public comment, and then meetings. We'll talk about those. You can email BCC to make your comments online, or you can go to the website to pick up all the information on the budget requests and schedules there. We have a public meeting on August 26th where we'll continue the public hearing too, and then we'll finish the budget adopted on September 9th. This year's budget, we have $171 million in total revenues. $59 million of that is property taxes, $92 million is other revenues. Entitlement share came up slightly this year, $4.35 million, and transfers in $15.2. In terms of other revenues, those consist of federal, state, and city payments, grants, reimbursements, contractual agreements. In the license and permits category, dog licenses from animal control, building, electrical, plumbing, and plumbing permits. For charges for services, that includes document recording with the clerk and recorder, subdivision review for community and planning services, and medical services at the Missoula County Health Department and the Partnership Health Center. Total revenues this year, $174 million. that. Oh, I'm sorry, total expenditures. 62 million in operations, 6.5 million in capital, debt service of 8 million, transfers out 14 million, and always the largest piece of the pie, personnel at 82,543,060 dollars. Personnel, of course, includes wages and benefits. Operations includes, well, this year included quite an increase in cleaning of buildings, maintaining our facilities, purchasing asphalt, computer and software was a big chunk this year. In the capital outlay category, we're repairing our buildings and grounds. We're acquiring dump trucks and graders and election tabulators. Doing a comparison from last year to this year, in the revenue category and the other revenue, on 2021 we had 83.3, 2022 we came up to 92.1. Debt proceeds, last year we had the fairgrounds, I believe, special district, 13.2 million.
Andrew, could you pull the microphone up just a little bit?
Sorry.
Thank you.
And did that, Andrew, how did we end up with 0 in 2022?
We haven't issued any debt in this year.
Okay.
Settlement share, as I mentioned, went up about $200,000. Property taxes, about 5. Total 171 versus 170. Expenditures, personnel, far and away the largest driver, 82 million versus 74 million. Operations, 62 versus 56. Capital outlay, we're down a little bit this year, 6.5 to 12. And debt service, we've decreased a little bit because of the increase in our mill value. Not included in the preliminary budget are the COVID-19 expenses, and they were dramatic over this last year. We battled the virus to the tune of $14.184 million for testing, vaccination, contact tracing, temporary employees, and other COVID mitigation measures. Reimbursements as part of the state and federal programs mitigated the need for local tax dollars, and that's expected income to continue. But we also expect it's generally expected the pandemic will continue and perhaps increase as the winter months come on. So we're putting some of that money aside for that. The ARPA program, federal COVID recovery program, is not included. Expenditures will be covered by revenues received. We'll have a separate meeting and presentation on the ARPA spending plans. We'll be using cash savings from prior years. We plan to use 2.7 million in cash savings from prior years for one-time items. This is the difference between the 173.8 million in expenditures and the 71. Got my little window here. I can't. Personnel costs. 85% of the I want to talk a little bit about base budget increases. 85% of Missoula County employees are covered by collective bargaining units. Negotiated contract increases impact wage rates. 3% increase to health insurance costs for our 853 full-time equivalent employees. And we finally reached a goal of paying a minimum starting wage of $15 per hour for all permanent employees. Quite an accomplishment for the county. Wage increases to stay competitive with area employers, retain current employees, and assist recruitment efforts across all departments. In operations, contractual agreements with service providers at increased rates, increase the cost of goods, building, construction materials, and equipment, as anybody in Missoula County knows right now. Capital projects, the care and upkeep of the building and resources, buildings, parks, roads, roads and bridges, the completion of the new election center, safety improvements, installation of a security desk in the courthouse rotunda for some of the bigger items. pause for some comments or questions.
I don't have any questions at this time. And I think maybe we'll just save the public comment for the, once you wrap up the presentation.
Yeah, I'm good. We've been through this a bunch, so ready for the public whenever it's their turn.
Okay,
Okay, go ahead, Andrew.
thank you. Budget requests. Departments submitted over 100 budget requests for additional personnel, operations, and capital funding this year. It was an all-time record. Commissioners have already declined to fund 2.6 million in new spending. Remaining requests under consideration include 1.8 million in one-time requests paid for with cash or prior year savings, and $545,839 in requests that require new property tax dollars, and 3.7 million in requests that are funded with grants, fees, or other revenues. The budget request values that the commission has established in consultation with staff and the general public: public infrastructure, public safety, responsible growth and development, election integrity, customer service, sustainability and climate action, justice services and reform, housing and homelessness, justice, equity, diversity and inclusion, efficient, effective government, public engagement and transparency, community development and recreation, employment, recruitment, development and retention, and stewardship of public facilities. This is not an all-inclusive list of the requested items, but it is a list that relates to each one of the prior item. Public infrastructure, we have road projects for public works of cost of $113,212. The funding source is going to be property taxes. Big Sky Rail Authority economic analysis, it's coming out of financial admin, $24,000. It's being funded by cash savings from previous years. Public safety arena, courthouse security enhancement, facilities management, it's $50,000. We're doing some remodeling and within the courthouse itself, and information desk there as well. We have radio tower infrastructure consulting and design, that's OEM, $100,000. We have different types of equipment at different towers, so we're trying to get similar equipment at those towers so they function more effectively. We have a much bigger increase coming in the future with new towers at $15 million. Responsible growth and development, in order to help the CAPS department with their zoning planning update, we added a planner 2 at a cost of $58,503. Funding sources $1,965 from cash savings for previous years and $56,538 from property taxes. The $1,965 are the computer and ancillary equipment needed for that position. Zoning update and community outreach. Department is community and planning services, cost $20,000, and it is also cash savings from previous years. In the category of election integrity, we've contracted for overnight on-site election security personnel to ensure the integrity of the elections and protect all those there. Cost is $25,000. Election education videos. These are election videos that we're planning to make to show the public how to effectively cast their ballots and how to most easily accomplish that goal. Reporting hardware. We have some reporting hardware in the tabulation machines. $5,722 funding source, help America Vote Act grant funds is the funding source there. Share that. The category of customer service, titled by mail software, which should help the Treasurer's Department speed through that much quicker than they have been. $9,600 well spent. Source property taxes. We have a telephone system upgrade technology. We've just been overwhelmed with the increase in personnel and phone calls coming in for the COVID issues, among other things. So this was a well-needed piece of system equipment. $133,178 cash savings from previous years as a funding source. And to support our sustainability and climate action goals, we're continuing with our 100% clean electricity initiative. We're combining resources with the city of Missoula on this project. Cost is $60,000 to source property taxes. With the climate action and resiliency capacity plan, community planning services is the department, $35,000, and the cash is savings from previous years. The Calibrate coordinator position. This is a
Prosecutorial jail diversion program
thank you, prosecutor,
from the county attorney's office.
and nationally recognized, as
Yes,
I
yeah.
recall. And we have an attorney promotion, $10,518. Property taxes is the property source, funding source. I'm sorry. Changes to the attorney on-call structure. Cost is $21,090, $300 from cash savings, and $20,000 from property taxes. Justice services and reform. Whoops. There we go. All right. Housing and homelessness. A big issue for the commission and the community at large. Temporary safe outdoor space security. The funding department was financial admin. Cost was $186,000. The funding source is ARPA. The emergency winter shelter and additional funding. It's also coming from financial admin. The cost is $50,000. And thankfully we have ARPA once again funding it. Our goal of justice, equity, diversity, and inclusion within our community. Public Administrator Jedi Fellow. Department is Commissioner's Office. Cost $6,445, and it's being funded by cash from previous years. The Jedi Intern. It's also in the Commissioner's Office. Similar cost and also being funded from cash from previous years. The category of effective, efficient government. We are hiring a full-time audit technician. He was working 3/4 time, I believe. Now this is just another quarter time. Funding source property taxes, Missoula County resident employee surveys, so that we get a better handle on what's going on there. Commissioner's Office, cost $20,000. Property taxes, funding source. Courtroom workstation upgrades, Department of District Clerk of District Court, I'm sorry. $13,440. Funding source, $13,000 from cash savings, $375 from property taxes. In the category of public engagement and transparency, we have public information request management software for the communications department. Better communicate with the taxpayers and the public as whole. Cash savings from previous years, and community engagement platform, again, communications, $15,900, and it's also cash from previous years. Community development and recreation. We're doing some work in the North Riverside Parks and Trails plan. Department is financial admin, cost $50,000, and funding source cash savings from previous years. And then the historical lawn ranch maintenance and National Register of the Historic Places nomination. Department Park Trails, Open Lands, cost $15,000 and it's going to come from property taxes. The area of employee recruitment, development, and retention. We get a technology apprentice. Jason's got a innovative technology program. He's working with Missoula College on that. And the cost is $26,000 and the source is property taxes. Leadership, Montana tuition and travel, auditor's office, that's $8,544, cash from previous years. And then stewardship of public facilities. We've got some serious boiler problems out at the detention center. I think we've got 3 we need to replace at a cost of $475,000. We're using cash for previous years and intercap loan financing. And the courthouse seawall restoration, that's that wall you see, the short concrete wall that surrounds the grass. It's in need of restoration, and we're going to be attacking that this year at a cost of $80,000. We're using cash from previous years. Whew, made it through. More information about all the budget requests is available online at missoula.co/budgets.
All right, any questions from the commission on budget requests?
I just want a comment.
Yeah, go,
Great.
or questions or comments?
This is just for folks who are here, and you may have caught all this. Only been at this a couple of years, so some of this is new to me, and just pass it on if it's not new to you. That you may have seen in what Andrew laid out, 2 really distinct pieces to this budget. First half is the base budget. That means all the things we did last year that we're pretty much absolutely have to continue. And then the requests are the new stuff we put on top. And the big change here from previous years is that the cost of the base budget went up a lot. It's costing a whole lot more next year to do exactly the same thing we did last year. And there's a bunch of reasons behind that, but the biggest one I see is that the cost of everything has gone up. Andrew laid out a bunch of other ones around collective bargaining and our commitment to $15 an hour wage, and there were a handful of other things in there, but the inflationary piece is a really big one. So just to keep in mind, there's 2 pieces to this when you want to make comments. That first one, where the biggest increase is around the base budget. That's basically doing the same thing we did last year. And then the second piece, our requests, that's all the new stuff. So I just wanted to lay that out clearly.
Yeah, that's super important, Josh, and I think you said it well. The base budget increases over last year dwarf the new requests that we're contemplating that Andrew just laid out here. Other questions, comments?
Nothing to add. Ready to hear from public.
We're not quite there yet, but we're getting there. So on to what everyone loves, tax impacts.
How could I forget? Sorry.
So
Sorry,
yeah,
Andrew.
talk to us about this, Andrew.
All right. I wanted to start out by talking a little bit about the Department of Revenue and the reappraisal process. We're on a 2-year cycle, and this is the second of the 2-year cycles we're going through now. The Montana Department of Revenue completes a uniform valuation of similar properties throughout the state. They do 100% of the residential, commercial, industrial land and improvements every 2 years. Also on a 2-year cycle is 100% of the productivity value of all agricultural lands. And then the forest land is they do 100% of productivity value of that every 6 years. The first year of the Montana Department of Revenue 2-year reappraisal process was 2020. In 2020, the taxable values in Missoula County increased by approximate average of 12%. For the current reappraisal year, 2022, the taxable values increased an approximate average of 15%. The reappraisal value and the sales price of your home will not match. The department conducts a mass appraisal every valuation cycle. Mass appraisal is the process of evaluating a group of properties as of a given date using common data, standardized methods, and statistical testing. The sales price of your home is what a willing buyer and a willing seller would exchange dollars for dwelling in the current market. So there's quite a bit of difference in those two numbers. The DOR sends out a reappraisal notice in June of a reappraisal year. If you feel the assessed value of your home is inaccurate, you must appeal it by April 9 for the 2021 tax year. Filing an appeal means that you're requesting a reappraisal of the property value. You can start the process in one of two ways: by submitting a request for informal classification and appraisal review, Form AB 26, to DOR online, or by appealing directly to the local county tax appeal board in Missoula County. You can fill out that application online.
And Andrew, since the August 9th deadline has passed, where does that leave folks? Would they have to wait till next year's cycle to file an AB 26?
Yeah, they will, and they won't be able to protest this year. They'll only be able to protest the following year's increase, which will be minimal because it's a non-reappraisal year.
Okay, thank you.
I thought I'd do a little math for you. Show you how to calculate the DOR reappraisal rate for a $350,000 house. And the state legislature sets the tax rate for residential homes at 1.35%. So if we had a $350,000 home and we multiplied it by 1.35%, you'd come up with $4,725, and that is your taxable value. Now, if we use the same mills we did last year in fiscal year 2021, and I'm just doing this for comparison purposes, so you see what the increase is.
You're doing great. I just want to throw this out there. When Andrew said same mills, what we're talking about here is the same amount of mills. A mill is a unit of taxation. So this is how many mills are assessed, literally means how much you're going to pay, because that mill is multiplied times the taxable value. So same amount of mills as last year with this new taxable value, that's going to equal your tax liability.
So last year you would have had the taxable value times the number of mills, and then what you do is you divide that by 1,000, and that equals the county property taxes for last year. Now this year we've increased the approximate average increase throughout the county in taxable values has been about 15%. So if I increase the taxable value by 15% to $5,433 and keep the mill level at the same 227 divided by 1,000, it equals $1,234.33, or read it again. There we go. Get rid of There we go. I get rid of that box. So it's $161 increase. If you did this is the invisible tax. This is the invisible tax. This is what you're taxed because your home is going up in value. In terms of the Missoula County preliminary budget tax and impacts, this is an increase in county property taxes if the budget requests were approved. If none of the budget requests were approved, the mill levies would decrease by 0.47 mils over the previous fiscal year, or negative $2.22. If all the budget requests were approved by the county, it will increase by 1.13 mils over the previous fiscal year, or $5.34. And just to make sure I'm not saying anything incorrectly, here's the calculation that gets us to the 534 But then I increased it by the 15% just to make sure we're comparing apples to apples, and it turns out to be $6.14.
Josh.
Yeah, why the division by 1,000?
That's the millage. It's always been in thousands and started back in Roman times, believe it or not. But it's always the division by 1,000. It's always increased by 1,000.
So if you didn't catch it, Andrew said that this practice started in Roman times, and I think you were serious when you said that.
Oh yeah, so
Okay, very good. So why would we not do it that way? I mean, that's obvious. Yeah. Okay, carry on.
That's my, so we have the public comment email address with the website where you can view all the detail behind the budgets. We have our next preliminary hearing on August 26th, and we will be adopting a final budget on September 9th. We'll be taking input from the public between all those dates, so please don't be shy.
Right. Thank you, Andrew. And just to reiterate what Andrew just said, we will not be making any decisions today. The public comment period will remain open all the way up until September 9th, when we'll be taking action on the FY 22 budget. So with that, let's take some public comment. If anyone wants to offer comment, let's begin here in the Sophie Moise room in the Missoula County Courthouse. Is there anyone who would like to offer comment on the fiscal year 2022 preliminary budget? Folks online, if you're wondering, there's a bottleneck of people trying to get to the microphone right now, so we'll let that thin out a little bit. And is there anyone online joining us via Microsoft Teams or on the phone who would like to comment on the fiscal year 2022 preliminary budget? Okay, well, seeing none, any discussion amongst us? It looks like if folks are able to see
here.
Yeah, if you can see the screen, or if you can't, for those of you online, you can go to our county website, missoula.co/budgets, to drill down into specifics related to this year's budget. You can email the Board of County Commissioners at bcc@missoulacounty.us.
Dave,
Josh,
do we have any media on the call? I might want to ask a question.
are there any members of our esteemed local media on the line today who would like to ask questions? Or Allison, do you have any directions for the media? Jordan, are you on the line, and do you have any questions you'd like to ask right now?
I have a question with the.
I am on the line, but nothing off the top of my head. I do appreciate your guys' thoroughness on this.
Thanks, Jordan. Commissioner Vero.
I think I wrote this down incorrectly, but Andrew, so you said, is there about $545,000 in new requests that would come from new property taxes? Or
That's correct.
And if you owned a $350,000 house, or the DOR says your house is worth $350,000, that's about a $5 increase on your taxes.
$5.34 increase.
okay, thanks.
So as Dave said, dwarfed is the right word for it, in that the increase in the base budget to do exactly as we did in the years past, because the cost of everything is up and collectively bargained and all of the things that go with doing everything we did before, that increase is pretty substantial compared to the new stuff, which is about $5.
And my encouragement to the general public is, if you have comments on our budget, be as specific as possible. It is completely unhelpful to say you need to tighten your belt, Missoula County government. I ran into someone at the fairgrounds today who had some concerns about what his taxes might be, and I asked what services would you like cut, perhaps, and I did not get an answer. So it was literally that level of specificity that we need in order to make informed decisions.
Add
Yes.
one other thing. Thanks. We basically have one source of revenue that's at our disposal, and that's property taxes. And this is a flaw in the system. I've said this a lot, but I just got to say it one more time. Our population is not the 112,000 or 120,000 that live in Missoula County. It's that plus the 2 million people that visit us, even though they're only here for a few days, they're here for a few days. And when those folks are here, they're using our services, everything from roads to 911 to helpful interactions with people that are smart and kind and literate, in part because they went to schools we helped fund. And those 2 million folks do not cover the costs of the services they engage with. We all do. It is as if 112,000 people are covering the services for a population that's much larger, which is a real flaw in the system. We attempted to remedy this, at least with our roads, with a gas tax. The legislature made that go away. So we can't get our guests to help cover the cost of repairing roads. So I just want to acknowledge that that's a built-in flaw in the system, that our property taxes will forever be going up faster than we can pay them until we can get all the people who use those services to help shoulder the burden.
Thanks, Commissioner Slotnick. Yeah. I suspect you might hear that again a time or two before all is said and done, and points well taken. I would be remiss if I did not mention that even though what you just participated in was about a half an hour presentation, literally hundreds and hundreds of staff hours have gone into the development of this budget over many, many months across all of Missoula County departments. So a big thanks to Andrew, you and your staff, and the many other folks across Missoula County who've put in the hard work to get us to this point today.
Thank you. It was a team effort.
Huge amount of work to get here. Thank you.
Any other final thoughts or comments today, recognizing the public comment public comment period and hearing will remain open all the way up until September 9th.
I wanted to make
Yep,
one
Andrew.
clarification on when I estimated the increase of the dollar value for the 15% increase of a home. You may or may not see that because that's an average of 15%. You may see 5%, you may see 30% like I did, but it'll bounce all around. So it isn't $161 for everyone.
Great. Yeah, thanks for that clarification. Any other business to come before the commission today? All right, seeing none, we will be adjourned. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.